and qadar of Allah. As for what this jama'ah does from the people of misguidance, or that jama'ah does from the people of sectarianism and tahazzub, then that is not your concern. That is not your concern. If they flout the law, then that is their foolishness. That is their foolishness. And this is the way of the people of misguidance and bid'ah, that they make the Muslims a target, so that the non-Muslims and other Muslims look upon them and say, look at these Muslims. Do they not have concern for the population? Do they not have concern for others? These people don't have concern for the sunnah. So why should they have concern for others? Where is the maslahah in flouting the advice of the rulers when they say to them, please isolate yourselves. Please, for now, do not organize gatherings. When we call them to the sunnah, they don't listen to you. When we call them to the aqeedah, they don't listen to you. When you call them to study the books of the salaf of this ummah and learn the aqeedah as it should be understood, they don't listen to you. So do you really expect them to listen to anybody else? A people who think that they know and no one else knows. Even when it comes to the sunnah, they don't follow the sunnah. Then how will they follow that which will benefit the people at large? They don't care. So we, as people of sunnah, as people who follow the way of the salaf and the methodology of the salaf, and we read the books of aqeedah, and we study the books of creed, such as the books of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal and Malik ibn Anas and al-Shafi'i, and the books of creed, such as the aqeedah of Imam al-Tahawi and the creed of Imam al-Bukhari and the creed of Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and all of their beliefs, they are one belief. Why? Because the spring that they take from is one source, and that is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, as it was understood by the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. We study their books and we study their works. We study the books of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. We study the books of the great scholars, and we follow the advice of the great scholars, that which is in accordance to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. As for these sects, they don't follow that aslan. They don't follow that anyway. So do you really think that they're going to have any concern for the people at large, Muslim or non-Muslim? So don't waste your time with them. Give da'wah. Teach the people and teach the non-Muslims. And convey to the non-Muslims that we as Muslims follow the sunnah. And if the law of the land teaches us that there is something for the general benefit of its people, then we will follow that. Whether it be stopping at red lights with your car. We will stop at red lights. Why? Because this is for the general benefit of the people. That is for the general benefit of the people. And likewise, that if the authorities say, for the time being, please try to isolate yourselves off as much as possible, then isolate yourselves off as much as possible. If they say do not organize gatherings of 30, 40, 50 people, why? Because we fear that this may be a means and this may cause some problems, then we isolate ourselves off for 20 or 30 people. Never mind that 20,000 people decide that they're going to flout or the law, all of them together, and they're going to go out and gather. This shows that they don't care about the impression or that which will that which will cause the general masses to think in their minds, what's wrong with these Muslims? What's wrong with these Muslims? That they are flouting the law. Don't they have concern for the general welfare? Of course we have concern for the general welfare. A particular sect that doesn't follow the sunnah anyway. And they don't establish the tawheed of Allah anyway, because they don't learn it and they don't teach it. Because they are a sect, like unto a cult, that follows its own rules and laws and constitutions in opposition to the sunnah. A cult and a sect that arose in the 1920s, and it was never known in Islam before that. Why should we as people of sunnah have any concern for them? So when the non-Muslims come and they say to us, we say to them that they are wrong. We say to the non-Muslims, they are wrong. As Muslims, we follow the sunnah. It is not our concern whether they are Muslims or non-Muslims. If they oppose the sunnah, as Muslims, we say that they have opposed the Sunnah and they have opposed that which is correct. If they oppose that which is correct as non-Muslims, then we say they have opposed that which is correct. Just because they are Muslims, we are going to defend their wrong and their mistakes and the fact that they have, caused more harm to come upon the Muslims, such that the Muslims are seen as flouting the law, flouting that which is correct, flouting that which is in the benefit of the citizens as a whole. And they say, well, we don't have to follow the law of the land because they are non-Muslims. How is that? How does that make any sense? Aqlan. Intellectually, how does that make sense? The law says do not drive in the UK, for example, over 70 miles an hour on the highways and the motorways. So the Muslims, what? Do they say, well, this is the law of the non-Muslims, so I'm going to drive my car at 120 miles an hour on the highway? Why would you do that? Because you know that that law is in place because the law is there to benefit. And were you to drive at high speeds on these highways and these motorways, then it will cause harm. An accident may occur. If you do not stop at the red light, when the red light says it's red, amber, green, red means stop. So you stop. We're not going to follow that law. Why? Because it is the law of the non-Muslims. That is a law for the general benefit of the people. That is the purpose of that law. Do not cross a motorway where the cars are driving. Pedestrians are not allowed on the motorway in the United Kingdom to cross the motorway. Why? Because the cars are driving at up to 70 miles an hour. If you cross the motorway, you may get killed. Are you going to cross the motorway and say, well, that's the law of the non-Muslims, so why should I follow it? What kind of madness is that? What kind of madness is that in the minds of ignorant Muslims? There are certain laws that are there, that their intent, whether you see it or whether you don't see it, the intent is for the public welfare. A law that is there for the public welfare is a law that should be followed, even if you don't agree with it. This particular law that has been passed in many, many countries, Muslim and non-Muslim countries, is it for the public welfare? The answer is yes. By following that law, have you disobeyed Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam? The answer is no. You have not disobeyed. Because there is within the Sharia, the Islamic law, there is something that agrees with it. And it does not contradict it. And by the Muslims remaining isolated among their families, among their relatives, in their homes, does not contradict this law. Does not contradict the Sharia. And it agrees with what the government wants for a short period of time. So therefore, if you are not harming, and there is no harm in that, and there is no harm in staying with your families. Look at all of the benefits that you can do now. Sit there, read your Quran. Sit there, learn. Ramadan is about to come upon you. Learn the regulations of Ramadan. Sisters, you can sit there, learn the fiqh of al-Islam. There's fiqh of purification. And for the men, the fiqh of purification. Study the books of Tahara, and we have taught them, and they are available. You can listen to 20 different sermons in a day if you wanted, from SalafiSounds.com. Free. Listen to them. Play them as you're cooking. Play them as you're cleaning. Play them so your children can hear lectures that are targeted to children, lectures that are targeted to women, lectures that are targeted to the sinners, lectures that are targeted to people who wish to get married, lectures that are targeted for husbands and wives, lectures that are targeted for parents, lectures that are targeted to the people who want to learn Tawheed. Why? Because they don't understand Tawheed. Lectures that are targeted to people who need to learn the Aqidah. Lectures that are targeted to people who need to learn how to pray. Download the ebooks from our websites. SalafiSounds.com, RadioSalafi.com, SalafiPublications.com, and other websites around the world that are there for the people of Sunnah, and they are there also for the people who are not following the Sunnah, but they want to follow the Sunnah and learn the Sunnah. What's wrong with you? You have time. Allah has given you an opportunity. Don't busy yourself with what this politician said or that politician said and the particular sectarian groups that are wasting your time. Ahlul Bid'ah that are wasting your time. So this is, even though this began as an advice to my brothers and sisters in India, all of you, who are listening to this, in the east and the west, and the north and the south, listen to this advice, barakallahu feekum, that I have taken from the kitab, from the sunnah, from the sahaba, from the salaf, from the great scholars of our times, and I've named some of them, and some of them I haven't named. Take this nasiha, barakallahu feekum. May Allah Jalla wa ala aid you and aid the Muslims. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it as a cause of benefit for myself and for you. Wa jazakumullahu khairan. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.